Hello, it's Barbara here. How are you guys doing today? As you guys know, I am an active real estate agent and real estate investor here in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. And I want to talk to you about how probate in real estate has changed my life. Okay. I've been in real estate going on 10 years now. I quit my job when I was 26 with two young girls, two babies, and I took a leap of faith. I thought real estate was you just taking people out in your car, you show them houses. So that's what I believed, and that's what I did. And then I met a colleague who told me about probate, how probate changed his life, and he paid all his debt, and he did all these great things. So I said, I want to know about this. I want to know about this probate thing. What is probate? What I will tell you before I get started is I've learned more about sales and being an entrepreneur and learning more about who I am through probate because it is a very lucrative business in real estate, yet it is very competitive and it's very challenging. I've made uh, multiple six figures closing probate deals. The most I've made on one deal was about 90, close to 90,000, right? Not exactly 90, but close to it. I flipped the property. I bought a property for really cheap and I sold it. I bought it for 70 grand and then I sold it for $227,000. And I made almost six figures on that flip. Okay. So I want to tell you about how it changed my life. So when I first got into the real estate business, I was, like I said, 25, 26, something like that. None of my family members believed in me. I'll say that because they had worked with other real estate agents. I've been on appointments with family members and they just didn't trust me. And I wasn't mad at them for not trusting me because I was so new in the business. And, purchasing a home is a really, really big deal. So why would you feel like you want to work with little B sister, right? Everybody looked at me as the little sister. So I had to figure out a business model where I could become, right, who I wanted to be, and I could start from a clean slate, right? So I started cold calling. Before I got into probate, I was cold calling absentee owners. The broker at the time was like, just take this list and start calling people. Now, the first cold call I did, somebody cursed me out, and I was like so scared of the phone. Like it really hurt my feelings. Okay. My feelings were extremely hurt. But then I had to ask myself, I said, what's the worst that can happen to me if I'm on the phone with someone? Okay. I believe that people right now, they rely heavily on social media, and that's good. That's all of that's good. They do ads and all of that. But I feel that cold calling helps you develop a skill set and a talent that nobody can take from you. If the internet just crashed today or tomorrow, I know how to pick up the phone and compel a stranger to want to work with me who never heard of me a day in their life. And I've proven it time after time after time after time. When I first got into the business, I did not know what I was doing, but I did know that I wanted to provide a service. I wanted to be of service. I really wanted to make money. I didn't know how to do it. So long story short, I got my first probate deal in about 4 months. All right. So I went down to the courthouse in Washington, D.C., got the information for the personal representatives, put their information on the spreadsheet, and start calling. So my first, but not my first appointment, but my first deal, I met with the guy and I just sat down to him, listened to him. My goal was to list the property, okay, because I'm a realtor. And if a seller lists the property, right, lists their home for sale on the open market, they can get a lot of money for their house than if they were working with an investor. Investors, we typically offer lower prices because we want to make a profit. That's very true. But I still wanted to come, from a place of service. I'm never trying to have somebody just give their house away. I don't believe in that. I believe if you can keep the property, great. If you have to sell for top dollar. But my client at the time, he did not want to sell on the market because he had a disabled son and he did not want people walking in and out of his house. It wasn't that he was pressed for the money. It wasn't that, he didn't want more for the house, but he had that extenuating circumstance where he just could not, he didn't want to expose his son to being sick or just being around people, period. Okay. So I was trying to convince him to list the property because I'm like, well, you can get more for it. But as I listened to him, it was not about the money. It was about the convenience of knowing that he had a deal and knowing that he can settle. So I don't know what I'm doing at the time. So I called one of my investor colleagues and I said, hey, I'm at such and such's house. And he's saying this. This is a person that I trusted because in wholesaling, because I did a wholesale deal, in wholesaling, the ideology is that you don't tell an investor about the property until you have it under contract. Well, that's true if you know how to get it under contract. So I did not know how to do that. So I needed to lean on a resource that I trusted. Could that investor had took that deal from up under me? Absolutely, he could have, but he had great ethics and he was a great person. So I trusted him. So at the time when I went back for a second appointment with the seller after my investor buddy went out. So my investor buddy went out to the house. He seen the house. He talked with the seller. And then he called me back and told me what the seller said. But when I spoke back with the seller thought that the investor was my boss. He was like, well, your boss said. So that like kind of lit a bell, like a ring in my head. Like it was a light went off. That's the right word. A light went off, right? So I was like, oh yeah, well, yeah, that's my boss. So he was like, well, tell your boss this, this, and this. So I called my buddy back. I'm like, well, this is what it is. So long story short, the seller wanted to work with me because he trusted me. All right. He had a lot of other investors who've had years and years upon years in the business with way more experience than me, who really about it. He felt like he can trust me. So the way we structured that deal was I told the seller, and I don't know how I pulled this off. I said, we'll give you $10,000 up front, and we'll give you $10,000 and you can move out the house and we'll have it settled by whatever date. But it was such a quick settlement that I didn't necessarily have to give him $10,000. So the investor firm was like, how are you going to pull this off? I honestly, guys, I don't know how I pull a rabbit out of the hat. I think that's the same. Long story short, we closed on that property in about 10 days. All right. So we went under contract for, I think we went under contract for 350,000. I sold the deal to my investor buddy for 370,000. So I pushed paperwork, I wholesaled the deal, and I made $20,000 in about 2 weeks and 4 months of cold calling. And I felt so good about myself. Like, I had a friend was like, what are you going to do with the money? Are you going to splurge? Are you going to go shopping? I'm like, no, why would I do that? I have 2 children, right? Why would I go splurge all this money? I have to save this money so that I can live, right? I don't have a job at this point. And I'll give you guys the backstory in another live about how I was able to quit my job and what savings that I have, because I did have savings. I didn't quit my job with no money coming in. Let's be clear. I did have a plan. It wasn't the best plan, but it was a plan nonetheless. So we closed that deal. And about 3 months later, I got another deal, and that was for 15. I made a $15,000 wholesale fee. After that is when I started getting more listing opportunities, and I got more wholesale opportunities. As a real estate agent, you should know how to maximize every listing that you have to garner the most money. The most money you can make off a listing is about 4 to 5 sides to a deal. I've made about 3 sides to a deal, meaning I got the acquisition. Maybe I've made about 4 sides, but I'll say 3 sides because I've done 3 sides on a more consistent basis. I haven't done 4 sides on a more consistent basis, so I'll say 3 sides. So you can get 2 sides of your original listing agreement. If you sell to someone that you get both sides of that deal. And then once the person fixes up the property and relist it, you can get, of course, the listing agent compensation. And then if you bring the buyer on the end, on the retail end, you can get, that entire listing. I've mainly did 3 sides, but it's very, very lucrative. The least I've made on getting 3 sides of a deal was about 15 to 20 grand. The most I've made on getting about 3 sides of one deal was around $75,000 to $80,000. And I have a course, I have a real estate investing course where I show you and I teach you how to maximize that listing to get more than one side of a deal, right? But for now, I just want to tell you about how it has changed my life. So I've been through a lot of ebbs and flows in the business, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. And now I'm at the point where I'm really consistent and steady. Okay. And probate is a niche that will never die. Why? Because people pass away all the time. And only about 33% of people actually have wills, right? What does that mean? That someone has a will where they're telling, they're giving their wishes on how they want their resources and their assets to be allocated upon death. So the other, 66% of people don't have a will, and they're going to go through probate. But whether you have a will or not, you're going to go through probate, but a will just streamlines the process and makes it easier, right? So with that being said, you always have an opportunity to prospect people, right? PRs, personal representatives, to sell a property. And what I love about probate is how cyclical it is and what people actually go through. And once you understand what a person is going through, you can best serve them. So I'm Barbara, guys. I wanted to tell you how probate has changed my life. If you guys are interested in getting more information, it's up to you. You can feel free to send me a private message. I have no problem with sharing. We have a free Facebook community. I don't want to sell you on a course, even though I sell courses. I feel that when it's your time, or when you're in a position to actually want to make a move in an investment in yourself, you can reach out anytime. And I'm always here. It's academyofprobate.com. But the biggest thing to be successful in this business is to learn the skill set, right? Learn how to cold call, do what other people are not willing to do. So many people are not willing to pick up the phone and make a cold call. That is crazy. I'm okay with it because others are leaving money on the table, right? I love getting referrals, right? But if you're new in business or you're just trying to add another niche to your business and you want to, strengthen your skill set, why not call and do some probate deals? Even if you do one or two a year, let's just say you add an extra $100,000 to your annual income, or even let's just say $50,000 for lack of better words. What is that going to hurt you? You're only going to learn how to become a better business person. So I'm excited. I love probate. That is my niche in the residential real estate space. I love serving buyers and sellers, but I really, really love helping people through hard times and getting them from where they are to where they want to be. So I'll see you guys in the next video.